Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hey everybody, Kieran aka The Laird here, and I have a bit of a different video this week for you because times are changing in the world and we're starting to get back to normal. And that meant I was actually able to attend an event this weekend just gone. Yay! I am so pleased to be able to do that again. It's been so long since I last attended an event. In fact, I can't even remember what the last one I attended was. It was so long ago. Probably play Blackpool or something, but God knows it's just been so long now, and it just seemed like the day was never going to come where we're going to have things back open again. And there has been a few events already. I think there was a couple towards the end of last year, small ones, at like the Retro Compute Museum and the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge, and beginning of this year maybe as well. But they were limited numbers. There was lots of rules about masks and social distancing because of that as well, because of obviously all the rules that were still in place, government guidelines, etc. Whereas this one, which I went to, which was London Anime and Gaming Con in Novotel West in Hammersmith. Really good venue for me because I live 20-minute train journey from London. So it was just a train journey in a tube to get there. It took less than an hour, which is absolutely brilliant for me. Really was good because getting places can always be a little bit difficult with me being disabled as well. I have to see if it's somewhere I can get to easily, if my wife doesn't want to drive or whatever. But the whole family went to this, my wife and my son and everything. So we had we stayed in the hotel where it was at, which was really good as well. So there wasn't much travelling involved when we got there because we literally only had to go upstairs, which was awesome. Really nice hotel as well, so I was really impressed with that. But yeah, this event nice and close, and because of the very, very recent rule changes here in the UK, for those who might not be aware, they've pretty much removed all the rules. So there was no need for masks, there was no need for social distancing, there was no limits on capacity and numbers. It was pretty much normal. And it was so nice to see. And I was going to mention my highlights of the event momentarily. And actually the probably the biggest highlight for me, and something that really brought things home, was in the evening on the Saturday. So I went all weekend, as I say, stayed over. They had a party in the evening, and the first part of the night, the party was actually, it was mostly chip tunes. They were playing stuff like Sonic 2 and Streets of Rage and stuff, which was amazing. Loved it. And it struck me while I was sitting there watching everybody dancing and having a good time, that people were dancing and having a good time. That's what struck me. Nobody was wearing masks, almost nobody. There was very few people wearing masks there. No one was worried about social distancing. People were hugging, people were dancing, people were doing the conga. It was just incredible. And I just thought, this is what normal is. I remember this. This is brilliant. And it was so lovely to see. It really was. Even if the second part of that party wasn't quite so good, because they started playing loads of rock music and heavy metal and stuff like that, which my wife liked, but I absolutely hate. I wanted them to stick to the chip tunes, which my wife wasn't so keen on. So I got mine and she got hers. But we still had a great time. I had lots of drinks. The drinks weren't too badly priced actually for a hotel either, especially not a hotel in London. Usually they're extortionate. I went to one, Play London, when they did Play London, and we went out to this bar, and it was £9 for a bottle of beer or cider, a bottle as well. So bear in mind, not a pint, £9, and it was £11 for a spirit, which was just absolutely disgraceful. People were like, "Oh my God, let's not stay here very long," and we didn't. But this, I think, was about £6 for a 500ml bottle of like cider. And it was a bit. I think it was something like £5 for a Budweiser, something like that. So nowhere near as bad. About probably what you'd expect to pay in London, actually. So yeah, it was. Hotel was great for the most part, although the check-in process was, oh my God, absolute chaos. because it was so busy, it just took them ridiculous amounts of time to check everyone in. It was absolutely crazy. So that was one of my down points, one of my negatives. But obviously that wasn't down to the event organisers, so I don't want to criticise them too much. That was purely down to the hotel. They didn't seem very organised with regards to check-in. They could have had a much quicker way of doing it, I think, with an online check-in process, but they didn't have anything like that in place. So the hotel have got a lot to learn from that, I think. What happened? But anyway, yeah, I mean, other plus points. The event was huge. It was on 3 floors, and was it 3 floors? It was 4. No, it was 4 floors actually. I think 4 floors. Because there was upstairs there was tabletop gaming, and there was another room that had the gaming tournaments in, plus all the latest modern consoles to play on as well. So Xbox One X and PS5 were in there. Some massive TVs as well, the tournaments taking place on. Then on the main floor we had there was a stage, 2 big trading rooms, so there's lots of stuff going on in there. On the main floor there was also a whole big room of retro games and retro consoles, and another room on the side with sort of semi-old, I suppose you could say, consoles like Xbox 360 and PS3, and that also had loads of PCs in that had just like Steam libraries running on them, loads and loads of them. So that was another room there. And then you went down a level. There was a big area for the cosplayers to sit. There was There was a big film room where they were showing anime films. There was another room specifically for artists. So there's people selling art stuff. You could go in there and do drawings and pictures and stuff as well. There was another kind of creative room in there for people who wanted to make models and stuff like that as well. So that was on that floor. And there was a talks room as well on that floor as well. And then on the very, very bottom, right down in the basement, there was an absolutely huge room. It had the main stage in where they had bands playing on. They had the cosplay parade on that stage. They had Q&As with some of the special guests they had on that stage as well. They also had loads of traders down there as well. So they literally had 3 floors that all had traders on. There was so many traders. That bottom floor also had a bar that was doing drinks and some food. You could get snack food like sandwiches and stuff like that from there. So that was pretty cool as well. I think that pretty much covers everything that was going on. I mean, there really was something for everyone, really. I think in terms of gaming, anime, film, all kinds of kind of geek culture, really. Spit my words out there. So yes, that was another big plus point. There was just so much there to see and do. I mean, it took ages just to get around and see everything. And we did actually notice as well that on the Sunday there were some different stalls on the Sunday than there was on the Saturday, and a lot of different people about. So we saw a lot of different cosplayers on the Sunday to Saturday as well, which is kind of nice to see some different costumes and stuff. So very different vibe as well. On the Sunday was a lot more relaxed. It always is at these kind of events, whereas on Saturday everyone's kind of rushing around and getting excited about everything. But yeah, I mean, absolutely so much to see and do. So yeah, down points. There is a few little niggles I had from the event. The first one was in the retro gaming room. Nearly all of the TVs were on 16:9 screen ratio. A few of them have been changed to 4:3. There was no CRTs in sight. They were all flat screen TVs, and loads of them were in the wrong screen ratio. And on some of the older systems, like the NES and the Mega Drive and the Master System, it looked terrible. With the stretched screens, it really did look really bad quality. The Master System in particular, that's the one that really hit me. It had Sonic playing on it, and oh god, it looked awful. I couldn't actually bring myself to play on some of them because it looked so bad. But there were some set right. And another small negative on the retro side was there wasn't a massive amount of different games. They had some boxes that had different games in that you could play, but not a massive selection. And for example, like for the Mega Drives, they had most of them running Sonic, and then apart from that, most of the games they had were actually sports games. Weirdly, there wasn't like loads of games that you'd expect, like Streets of Rage 2 or Shinobi or stuff like that. They didn't have any of those kind of Tojo Manel, those kind of really famous Mega Drive games. I don't know why they didn't just go and buy a load of those cheap, 112 in one multi-carts of Wish or something and put them in all the Mega Drives, because that would have solved it. They would have had really good selection of games on them then. They did have quite a few mini consoles running, as well, so they obviously had pretty big game selections on them. A couple of them hacked as well. I noticed that they had more than the requisite amount of libraries on that came on them. So that was a small down point. And the another small down point actually I did want to mention was stalls, because loads of the stalls were selling exactly the same things, like identical products. I know there is always a risk of that happening, but there wasn't a huge amount of variation in the stalls that were there. So, for example, there was only one. I mean, this is what I can believe. One stall in the whole of. Bearing in mind, I said there were stalls on 3 floors. One stall that was selling video games, and only half that stall was games. And I noticed that you couldn't get near that stall. That stall must have done such good business, because everybody was there in front of the gaming store all the time. I really struggled to get near it, to get in there. And I noticed that when we went back to have a look at that stall on the Sunday, we went literally straight down in the morning, and we went over to the stall, and loads of their stock was just gone. They had hardly anything left. So they must have done really well, and they probably wish they'd bought more. And it really could have done with some more stalls selling games, because I think if a few more gaming traders had come along, they would have done a roaring trade, especially if they'd stuck a couple of some gaming traders near the gaming areas, because the downstairs gaming areas, the retro room and the not so retro room as I called it, they were stuck well away from everywhere else. You had to go down a couple of corridors to get to them, and actually the room upstairs we couldn't even find it on the first day. We didn't even find it till the second day, because it was so obscured. It was in this corner behind this corner of a long corridor behind the tabletop rooms. You never would have found it. Never would have found it. There was literally one sign, and we just walked around for ages, and then eventually found it. So that wasn't well signposted either. Everyone else seemed to know where it was, though. I can only assume that word spread, because the room was busy, but we did struggle to find it. But again, they should have had some stalls that were themed to the areas. So they should have had some gaming stalls, for example, in the gaming areas. And the gaming areas were always really busy. It was really hard to get on the machines, which you expect at events like this. So they should have had more gaming stalls. Yeah, really, that's it. But while I was there, I took lots of photos. I took lots of video. I've already put some photos actually on my Twitter @RetroLaird, and I've posted some around in Facebook and stuff as well. But yeah, I took some bits of video, mainly panorama shots, so you can get a look at the event and see the scale of it and what was on offer. I didn't do a full tour like I used to with these retro videos, because it's just not something I can do anymore, because as I've mentioned, I'm disabled. I have to walk with a stick and braces on my legs now, and it's just not possible. I mean, my old videos were shaky cam specials anyway, because of the way I walk, because I walk with quite a heavy limp. But now it's almost impossible to walk around and do a video of such, unless I maybe hung a camera around my neck or something. But it would jump up and down so much it'd be pointless. But yeah, I did some video by basically just standing still, by sitting on a chair, or with my wife standing next to me, so I could kind of lean on her, and did like panorama shots all the way around the rooms, so you could see. That was really the best idea I had to do. So I hope you enjoy having a look at what was on offer at London Anime and Gaming Con anyway. I had a really good time. Definitely go back again, and if you haven't been before, I think you'd all love it. I mean, even just for the cosplay was just amazing. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll leave you with a video of London Anime and Gaming Con 2022.